Hello and welcome back to the Rock River Valley Traction Company. Today is a continuation of more storm damage for 2024. Been a pretty active year storm-wise out here. I think this year we've had more damage than we've had in probably the last 3 or 4. Arrived out here today to find this branch right here across the track. This pull-off insulator hanging was an indication that there were more problems, and I was not let down. Going up here, we can see, it's always hard to see the catenary in these things. Hopefully it shows up, but you can see right here, catenary's all tore down, still hanging, did not hit the ground, and it appears what has happened is this tree right here, this guy, pretty tall tree, must have broken off at the ground. So I don't see where I can't see anywhere where it came out of these other trees. So I think this was just a single tree that broke off, and it went across the track, kind of karate chopped itself on the rail. Part of it is laying over here, and this wouldn't be so bad, except in the process it took out 2 poles, which, you know, this pole looks kind of short, and the other pole over here, this one's pretty short as well. It's rotted at the bottom. So I guess had they been better poles, they probably wouldn't have gotten broken off. So we'll have to go up and grab a couple of poles, get them reset, and then start hanging everything back up. Look what it did to my spring here. I don't know if you can see this spring, but it stretched it pretty good. I don't think we're going to be able to reuse that one. I put springs in, various places in the pull-off wires to take care of the thermal expansion and contraction that takes place when the seasons change. This is probably the cross arm that was on that pole. Threw it clear over on the other side of the track. And this cross arm just completely broke it right off. Ripped it right out of the pole. So I'm guessing this tree came down with quite the gusto. So anyway, we will go get some poles, get the digger, start clearing some of this mess out, and get things rehung. We're up here at the material yard now. We've come in the siding, picked up our pole car. I always try to keep a couple of poles readily loaded on this thing for events just like this. So we'll get this out on the main and make the trip back down the hill, start our repairs. Operate this with the remote out of the siding. Get our switch line back here. This switch stand is on the list to be replaced. It's rather interesting how it's constructed. I mean, it works, but it's pretty janky, we'll say. All right, pick ourselves up here. Time to go down the hill and get to work. We're back down here at the work site, and And we're set up to start getting holes in the ground for our poles. I just wanted to show you this contraption that I use for making the holes in the ground for the poles. This auger is actually an ice fishing auger, but guy at work was throwing it out and I got a crazy idea. I wondered, well, does someone make a drive unit where I could just buy the electric drive unit and attach it to the auger, which I've done here. This thing saves so much time. It works perfectly. Well, not perfectly. The auger diameter is a little smaller than my poles, so I still have to use the clamshell here to open the holes up a little bit, but this thing does, 85% of the work, and it does it in like 30 seconds, whereas I would probably spend 5-10 minutes or more digging the hole with the shovel and clamshell. So it is powered by 110 volt, and we get that power from the steeple cab auxiliary power, which is fed off of the catenary here. So as long as there's power in the catenary, I can use power tools. So that's why first order of business out here is usually to get the catenary at least up off the ground so it can be energized, and then we can use power tools to speed up the process. So we'll get our first hole put in right here. I did measure. Both of these poles are at 11 feet, which is just a little too short to be used for a pole that is set in ground that's level with the track. Now in this case, the track is actually on a super elevation here. This is a big curve, and so it's up probably, I would say, at least a foot higher off of the ground level. So that requires even a little bit longer pole. 14 foot is my ideal pole length for most applications out here. Now, that said, there are some places where the track is running through a cut and the poles are up on the cut. These poles right here will be usable for that, so they're not junk. There's still good wood left in them. They can be reused, just not here, too short. So we'll do some digging and get a pole set. Got our hole dug. Fortunately, this ground is really sandy, so it was very quick to drill out with the auger, and then I just had to take the clamshell and make it a little bit larger, because as you can see, this pole that I'm going to put in place, pretty decent sized pole. So what I'll do now, I've got the pole car backed up here by the hole, and the way this car is made, these pins on the side are removable. So I'll go through and remove 3 of the 4 pins, and then I'll take this and swing it over, set it in the hole, and then gather my strength to lift the top part of it up and finish dropping it in the hole. So here we go. It's about as much help as I'm going to get mechanically. Always nice when it works out like that, though, that I can push it up just a little bit with the locomotive in the car. So we'll finish setting this up by hand. Show you kind of mid-process how I do this. So once the bottom is down in the hole, then start lifting on the top, and then I use a piece of wood here to put under it, and I just get a shoulder under this thing and just keep walking it forward and putting the stick underneath to hold it while I reposition, and just keep walking this way until the pole is eventually up. It's actually not as bad as it seems. These poles are quite heavy though, maybe 200-300 pounds. So without, you know, doing it this way, I obviously can't lift the pole by myself, but this works pretty well. Ta-da! Pole is set. Time to fill it in at the base. Start getting catenary here pulled up to it, and once this is up, at least roughed in, then I can back this car up and we'll go to that one down there. So now I've got the catenary here pulled up. Just put a temporary pull off in there so that this is high enough that I can back up some more, because I've obviously got to get that all the way back to the next pole. So where we're sitting here now, we'll be able to do that. And we'll back up, get another hole drilled in the ground here, get our other pole up, and then we can come back and properly set this wire. I don't know if you can tell, but it's way off right now, but I just need it good enough to be able to get under it. I also put the backing pull-off wire back on, so these all have guy wires on them that go into an earth anchor right down there in the ground with a turnbuckle so I can tension it. I try to do that on all the poles that are on a curve. That way the poles will always stay straight. But yeah, let's back up and get this one done. So we backed up here and used our handy dandy ice auger slash post hole digger here. Got our next hole put in the ground. This one was a little more challenging. I don't know if you could tell, there's some tree roots in there, so I had to do a little chopping, take care of those. But we are ready to throw this big guy here over into that hole and get him uprighted, and then we can finish pulling the catenary over. I have to put some cross arms on these poles, and then we can finish aligning everything. Have our new pole all set, tamped in place. I've got the wire hooked to the back that goes to the earth anchor to keep it straight. I've also loaded up the junk poles here. Actually, this first one here, it's still okay. It's a little short, but it could be used on the side of a hill somewhere. The other one is pretty well done for. It's rotted through and through. I went and grabbed a new spring to replace the one for the pull-off wire. So here was the one that came out. That's what the tree did to it. Stretched it all out. So we've got one here that's a little more substantial. So now what we're going to do is get the cross arms put back on, and for that I have this contraption here. I don't know if you can see it. I use this thing. So basically this is adjustable height. The base is made to either straddle the rail, or it can go on top of, you know, a flat car or in the gondola. Pretty much wherever it needs to sit, it's made so that it will do that. And then this pipe right here slides inside of this one, and then I've got this crude little locking collar which is attached to this arm. And then I have this guy right here. My cross arm sits in that on one end, and then the other end is up there at the pole. So this way I can set the height exactly where I need it, and then go up there and secure. I only have to hold that end of it while I secure it. So it works out pretty well. So wherever I set this, whether it's on the track or on a car, I just, adjust the height, set it to 9 feet to this, and then the distance from here, from here down to here. This basically is the height of these hangers that attach the messenger wires to the main catenary wire. So that's all set for me. Makes it real easy and quick to get these things put back up. So we're going to do that now and get our backing pull-off wire put back up. I know you can't see it in this video, but there's a wire that runs from the back side of that pole on the back side of this pole. It'll go to the back side of the two new ones and then over to the existing pole. And that's where that spring goes, is in there. And that's what we use to make a very uniform curve in the catenary. So we'll just install, the pull-offs every so often so that the wire doesn't have any sharp bends in it. So that's the next step here. Here's a quick shot of the cross arm holder in action. So I've just thrown it up on top of the pole hauling car here, and out there got the end of the arm supported, and I've secured it to the pole. So this one is all good to go now. Time to move to the next one. Got our second arm put up, and I've attached wire to it. So now we'll move back. Here's the first one we put up, and it's time to start reconnecting the pull-offs. You can see there's one hanging right here, insulator. Well, you can't see, maybe you can see that. Anyway, we'll reconnect that up there, get our wire alignment all set. I've kind of got where it's hooked to the cross arms is partially aligned. So basically you want your wire on a curve to be over the inside rail, and that's where I've got it. So now we'll hook up the pull-offs and we'll have a nice radius on our curve. We'll be back in business. Got most of the pull-offs adjusted. Now we're gonna take a ride and see how this repair looks. Got a snag we gotta fix right here. But otherwise, I think we rolled through there pretty nicely. Looks a lot better than it did with a tree laying across it. So we'll finish making a little adjustment to this guy right here. All I'll do is I'll put a pair of pliers on there, hold on to it, and then hit the pliers with a hammer. And what that'll do is it'll roll this up towards the top of the wire, and then we'll be all in the clear. That should take care of that. So hopefully this is the last storm damage we have to do this year. I doubt it is. Wishful thinking though. So hey everybody, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends, and we'll see you next time.